Hey guys, there's something I want to talk to you guys about. This is probably gonna be the most personal and uncomfortable video I will ever upload. The most uncomfortable story I will ever put out there. A couple years ago, I had a friend. This friend had been my friend for a couple years. We hung out on campus. We hung out on weekends. We had a group of friends that we hung out with all the time. And I grew to really trust this person. He was there for me when I was sad. He was there for me on multiple occasions. He took care of me when I was drunk. He was respectful, kind, and I grew to truly trust this person. So 2 years ago, we hung out. We went to the mall, and his friends had edibles. And this friend of mine shrugged it off like no big deal, like, yeah, they're really good, I've had them, just trust me, like, you'll have a good night. I trusted him for 2 years, and I thought he'll take care of me like a friend should, like a friend would. I was a little hesitant, but all of them were like, no, it's fine, it's just an edible, you'll be fine. So I ate one. I don't remember much of the mall. I remember they bought me food because I had munchies, I guess. I just remember them all laughing at me. I mean, can't imagine how stupid I looked, probably. You know, we all laugh at our friends when we're high, they look funny or whatever. I just have vague memories of that. I was waiting to meet up with someone else, and it seemed like I was going to be waiting for a while, so he offered to just hang out at his house. I thought nothing of it. I'd been to his house many times. Video games, movies, groups of friends. I didn't want to be alone waiting for my other friend, so I agreed. And I was still extremely high, to the point where I question it to myself. I question if there was something else in that edible, or how strong it was, or how much they gave me, or... It's frustrating to look back at. We put a movie on. I don't even remember what movie was on. At some point, he was rubbing my arm, and then somehow I hate that I can't fully piece it together. He was on top of me on the couch. I remember shaking my head no, and still feeling so high. My body felt weird, my mind felt weird, my movements felt weird. Like, moving my head even to say no felt weird. I could barely process what was happening in that particular moment. But I said no, regardless. I said I didn't want to. And he said to me, just relax. Stop holding back. Just don't hold back. And he put it in. I was able to maneuver myself out of that. I got him off and I walked away to the bathroom. And again, since I was so high, I was still having a hard time processing what was going on. And the first thing I thought of was to rinse my face. And looking back, I think maybe I should have closed the door and locked it, and I didn't. My mind was, like I said, processing the whole situation, and I went to go wash my face, and he went into the bathroom and did it again. Over the counter. Over the sink. And I can't really remember how it stopped. So I called my other friend. And I told him, like, I don't know what you're doing, why you're busy, but I need you right now. I need you right now. And he lived a few blocks away, and I went to his house, and I cried all night, trying to understand why my friend would do this to me, why my friend didn't respect me, and considering the fact that he was completely sober the entire time, and I wasn't. His mind didn't need to process the situation the way I did. I was under the influence. He was completely sober. Someone I trusted. I didn't even go home for like a week because I didn't know what to do. I wanted to understand why. And I saw him on campus the next day. We made awkward eye contact. And I left. I couldn't even stand near him. I didn't care if all our friends were hanging out. I couldn't be there. I had hoped that he would contact me apologizing or explaining or something. I don't know if he didn't. I don't know what part of my brain or logic was hoping for that. So I reached out to him and I said, we need to talk. He said he wanted to just pretend like it didn't happen. And I was in this denial for months. I wanted nothing to do with him. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want to hang out with him. I didn't want to talk to him, but I still had him on Instagram and Twitter, and even though the sight of his name would make my stomach sick, I was in this denial that he's a good guy, just made a mistake. But it was a mistake at my cost. I felt violated, disrespected, and hurt. I put my trust in the wrong person that I continued to try and believe was a good person. And I can't imagine how frustrating it must have been for my boyfriend to feel like, why the fuck I had this guy on any social media, why I had any the part of me that saw him as a friend was hoping for something that I already knew wasn't there. And when someone defends someone who does something like this by saying, I know him, he's a good guy, it made me realize that it doesn't matter. Like I said in the beginning, he was respectful. He was respectful to the other females in our group of friends. He was kind and understanding half the time when we talked about things and I opened up to him. He was good guy or not, anyone's capable of something like that. It made me feel. And not to say that I'll never trust again. I'm capable of trust. I'm capable of trusting people. And maybe making decisions that wouldn't put me in a situation like that. And that was one of my biggest struggles also, was feeling like I could have done something different. I could have just said no to the edible. I could have locked the door. The reason I chose to make this video, and I debated for quite some time whether or not to come out with it, put it on the internet for everyone to hear and see, is because these past couple weeks have been extremely hard with Kavanaugh. And regardless of your standpoint, whether you believe him or Dr. Ford, regardless, the situation itself as a whole has been extremely triggering. It was on the news, it was on media, it was brought up in class, a classmate of mine said that this whole situation was insignificant. I was so angry in class and hurt in class, because to call a case like this insignificant is a slap in the face to any male or female who has ever experienced sexual assault to any degree. It felt like a slap in the face. It felt like my situation could be insignificant. And when he was confirmed, all the protesters and posters speaking out against sexual assault was so overwhelmingly empowering. Man, woman, speaking out against any degree of sexual assault touched me, but at the same time, it made me so sad. And it sucks that anytime I say a situation like that makes me sad, I get a lot of messages from people saying I'm naive. I don't know what's going on in the world. I'm well aware of how much hatred and cruelty this world deals with. That doesn't mean it won't make me sad. And I started crying almost uncontrollably, hyperventilating. I had to call my mom. To try and breathe and calm down. And everything just brought me back to my own situation, scenario, and I admire the men and women who have come out and told their stories. And I felt like I might have made a couple bad decisions in that situation, but maybe I could be brave enough to share my story. And for people to say things like, why didn't you come out sooner, to people who didn't, it's hard. It's so hard. To look at it from a clear mind, it's easy to say, just come out with it. But to come from a mind that has experienced it, from a heart that has experienced it, who's been hurt by it emotionally, and it's really hard. I had a hard time even telling my parents. And a hard time telling my psychologist, and thinking of all the things that I could have done differently. It's so hard to come out and tell people how you've been violated, how your body was violated, and how painful the memory can be for people to just simply come out with it. And I've seen some pros and cons to the Me Too movement. But I know that there's pros and cons to anything and everything in life, and I admire the women that have come out with Me Too.